Welcome everybody. VTV this morning with Brad Burnett from SkyCity. Everyone's just loading up. But yes, Brad, thank you. Thank you for your time. Really appreciate it. Really good to have you back on again. You were here 18 short months ago. So really good to have you back on.
Morena, Luke, and everybody. Good to be here.
As previous, Alberta will be running the chat behind the scenes, so feel free to work your magic there. Load up any questions for Brad. We'll try and get through some, and as always, if we don't get through to them this time, we'll be covering them off on future VTVs as well. So Brad, first of all, probably give us a little bit of background, who you are, where you come from, for those that are new. Far away.
Yeah, thanks, Luke. So tomorrow's actually my 9-year anniversary at SkyCity. So I guess typically in the office, of course, I'd get a cake or something, maybe if I'm lucky. But I'll probably have to see if the kids can whip me up some cupcakes or something to celebrate that. So 9 years at SkyCity, and clearly the last two have by far been the most challenging, and not only at SkyCity but my career. Prior to that, I've done stints with Starwood Hotels before they merged with Marriott, Blackstone Group here in Auckland, and did some time over a few years over in the UK as well, back in the days when you could travel. And they did the whole OE thing, which was an amazing experience, and then actually started off with Heritage Hotel Group back in the late 90s.
Yeah, nice. It's funny, sort of probably if you had said on your 9-year anniversary a couple of years ago, a good day would have been spending the day home with your family.
That's true.
Back in the office.
It does. Thanks a lot. It's all gone pretty quick, and sort of gone from the highest of highs in terms of tourism and record numbers in terms of visitation to the city and to the country, and even in our own business, and to the toughest of times. So it's been a heck of a ride so far, and I'm sure that's only going to continue. Yeah.
No, we're thankful for guys like yourself that have got lots of experience in the industry, and it's sort of setting the benchmark for some of the rest of us to follow. So I really appreciate that. You're a good guide. Quick question, just to kick it off. From your perspective, how is this lockdown? I mean, Auckland's been through a multitude of them, but how is this lockdown different to sort of March 2020?
Yeah, it's a good question, and it's one that we sort of talk about a lot, even in our own team, and certainly from a leadership perspective, I'm really trying to drum home the fact that we have been here before, and we've proved we've got a roadmap of how to fight back. It's probably been my most consistent message to not only my team but anyone I talk to. Yes, it's difficult. It's absolutely challenging. There's a lot of anxiety out there, but we've worked our way out of this. We never got back to where we were, but we proved that a domestic market could provide business for a period of time. It's not sustainable long term, but we know how we learned a lot along the way as well. So lots of learnings that we can apply this time to hopefully come back stronger and build back better than we did last year. So that's what feels different from me this time, is the anxiety around what's to come, what's in the future. And of course, we don't know that, but we do know how we bounced out of lockdown last time. So I feel better coming out of this, hopefully in the next couple of weeks here in Auckland anyway.
Yeah, that's a cold comfort, that sort of that experience that you get from each lockdown. You can sort of build on it, and it helps you give confidence, but it's a cold comfort at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Coming back, just touching on your point there, you said you've got a lot to learn. So for the audience, that is a question I have for you coming up about what you've learned in this past 18 months. But before we get to that, how are you keeping your team engaged? Because I understand that SkyCity's shut, so you're all at home.
Yes.
So that's got its own challenges.
Yeah. So we're a big business, obviously, and there's a lot going on. And I think there's a delicate balance of being in people's space too much when they're at home trying to juggle family life and the work balance. and also keeping people connected and giving them the information they need and looking after each other. That's ultimately what we have to do to get through this. So I'm extremely lucky, and I'm really grateful for the team that I have around me that have organised all sorts of crazy Zoom sessions. We've had training sessions that have been conducted by concierge team members. We've had a Zumba fitness session, which was one of our marketing team last week, and I think tomorrow we've got Hawaiian hula day or something, and also cocktail making sessions and things like that. So we've tried to strike a balance of fun and entertainment, because that's our brand USP, and also just trying to give people a bit of fun and keep connected to each other. We're a pretty close-knit group, so keeping connected by doing fun things, the sort of things that we would probably try and do in the office anyway. I actually wouldn't do Zumba in the office, but absolutely bring those into home life. The other thing is just not overdoing it with unnecessary work streams. Last time was challenging, as I mentioned, because we had no idea what was to come. So there was a lot of different things about what's the forecast going to be, how big should our workforce be, all those sorts of things that aren't actually there this time. So my personal thing has just been actually back off and let the team recalibrate a bit, let them breathe a little, because when we do come back, we know that it's going to be full on again. So again, the balance of, and I saw a really nice kind of meme the other day, which was, we're not working from home. We're forced to stay at home during a crisis, trying our best to work, which is true, because, myself, I've got 3 kids actually on the couch next to me, just fighting over something. And my wife upstairs trying to work as well. So, good luck trying to be as productive as you would be in the office, or typically how you typically work.
Yeah, there goes your boy. Nice. No, and that's brilliant. I mean, that shows the often in this type of environment, our work lives are corporate. But how often have we had kids jump into a Zoom, and it brings that human touch to everybody, if you know what I mean. And I think probably the first lockdown, everyone was like, that was like the worst thing that could happen in a Zoom, whereas now it's just like,
Oh yeah. Just a really funny story. I was in quite a serious meeting last week on Zoom, and my kids were throwing a ball around, and it was like the timing was perfect, and one of them missed this basketball basically, and it came flying over my shoulder, and I didn't see it coming except on the screen, and just knocked over. Didn't quite knock over my coffee and water bottle here, but it was just like a classic Zoom, trying to balance everything moment. So I had to take the headphones off and just sort of sort the kids out at that point. But anyway, fun and games.
It gives you, from my perspective, having a wife and 3 kids, also it gives you some fresh respect for what your other half does at home too.
Yes. Absolutely.
So from yourself, like when you talk about like when you've got a lot on your plate, what keeps you going? What fires you up?
Everyone talks about it, but to be honest, it's been just getting outside, fresh air, physical fitness. Don't get caught up too much in the some of the negative media. We're constantly being told we should be scared, and I think that's really irresponsible, actually, from some of our media outlets. The headlines are always pretty dramatic, and if you sit at home reading those constantly, you're gonna find yourself in a bad spot. So personally for me, whilst we talked about the challenges of home life with kids, it's also the kind of escape. And for me, these guys, whether we're kicking a ball around, riding our bikes, going for a bushwalk, going for a walk in the rain like we will have to today, is absolute gold. That's the ticket to take pressure off the head, and just not get caught up too much in the global situation around us. You can't be absorbed by that, and I try really hard to disconnect from and know as much as I need to know to do what I need to do, but apart from that, try and disconnect from a lot of that stuff, because it's it'll get to you. So physical fitness, fresh air.
The kids have an amazing ability to bring you back to ground when things get a bit stressful, or when
absolutely,
and narrow things down to what it's made up. Just we touched earlier on how Auckland's had many lockdowns. What bounce back's obviously hard. This time it's obviously different for you. Tell me, because you're closed because you're a point of interest. Am I correct in that?
We can't. Well, it's a little bit complex, but our precinct, the only things that could stay open at level 4 would be our hotels.
Yeah.
And we actually did do that in the first week or so.
Yeah.
Then we got nominated as a place of interest, and that kind of made it quite risky for the hotels to remain open through that particular work stream in week 1. So we were running at very low occupancy. So we just made the call it's actually safer for everybody and cleaner for us trying to work through this investigation to close the lot.
Yeah.
And then we'll reopen. So at level 2, we did stay open for a level 3 last year, but again, it was very, very quiet, and we put a lot of effort into, some of the learnings. We put a lot of effort into grab and go, click and collect type food and beverage offerings that just didn't really fire for us. So again, we know now that level 3 is not really going to commercially stack up for us. We're better off to focus on level 2 reopening and do that really well. So we've got detailed plans for each level and how to operate from a health and safety perspective, from a customer experience perspective, and also from a sales and marketing perspective. There are some things that we did last time that we probably will refine and do differently for coming into level 2 this time. There are brand messages that will absolutely bang the drum on louder this time because we've seen them work in the last 18 months. So we're lucky with a really calm, composed group again, and that's from our CEO down. There's no knee-jerk reactions to any of this stuff. It's like, okay, here we are again. We've got our plans. What do we need to do here? Brad, what's happening in the hotel space? And it's always a led by the subject matter experts in terms of decision making, which is really appreciated. And we're well supported. We're lucky that we're well supported by really great health and safety professionals and etc. So we've got a well-oiled plan because it's been in play now for 2 years. I think the fire is actually nearly coming up to a 2-year anniversary as well in October. So since then, we've been in kind of crisis, lurching from one thing to the next.
Yeah. On your you mentioned about the marketing plan that you put out. I think last time we spoke about how advertising your property as a destination or an experience on its own. How has that changed at all from a hygiene perspective? As in, does that hygiene message play a bigger part now than it did, or have you still keep that same message?
No, absolutely. You're talking about cleanliness and So our priority is keeping customers and our people safe. That's the ultimate. So, I think on the front page of our hotel's website, you've got a video recorded and a whole lot of COVID safe information and material, along with flexibility around terms and conditions. And I'm sure everybody on the call will have had to put the same things in place. So still absolutely, obviously, that domestic focus is key, and the only thing we can focus on at the moment. So having products to match that customer expectation is important. As I said, fine tuning our marketing piece. If we know things that worked last time, we'll do those more. So it's similar, but I think with the Delta variant, of course, we've really had to amplify our health and safety and hygiene messages, because we're coming into a 2.5 level, of course. I think that will be has got expectations around mask wearing and those types of things. So and compulsory scanning, of course. So we've just had to refine a little bit to go into there, but we still think that we can have give people a great experience, and we're all wanting to get out of our houses. So we're confident and optimistic that locals and New Zealanders will bounce back to our precinct. And again, we're lucky that we've got the products there to value add and throw at customers to ensure they feel like they're kind of escaping their houses and COVID for a time, still playing by the rules, of course, but you can have a really cool and fun experience, which is an entertainment experience, which is, again, what we're all about. So, products like All Blacks Experience and Weta and Sky Tower and those sorts of things, and all our restaurants and bars are all about allowing people to enjoy themselves. So we should leverage those.
Yeah, that's a really good point for people on the call or listening in. Is you guys have obviously got massive backing as far as knowing what consumers want and that kind of stuff, which some of the smaller companies may not have access. And it's you're obviously putting a bigger emphasis on that cleanliness sort of. So it's obviously what the consumer wants to see. So that's a good takeaway for anyone on the call who's not doing that now. But
there's also, if we didn't have those attractions on site, I'd be knocking on their door if they were a block away or 2 blocks away or down the street or at the other end of town. I'd be knocking on their door and working on a partnership or a collaboration through this, because, again, we talked about families. When I take my 3 kids away, it's not about a cookie cutter accommodation experience. It's about what are we going to do with our time there? What is the experience? So adding in those value adds again is what we saw, what Kiwis absolutely really valued.
I should be doing a plug for yourself, but a person that jumped to mind was King and Queen's Hotel in New Plymouth.
Daniel, great guy, great operator.
So Daniel Fleming, if anyone's on the call was interested, he's just done a great video showing how he's turned his property. He's packaged up that experience of all those eateries in that region and that, which is pretty simple stuff, really, but he's done a really good job of it. Alberta might be able to post it up.
No, I totally endorse that. I was lucky enough to stay there during the tech conference
Nice.
not long ago, actually, a couple of months ago, and we got given a booklet of discounts and vouchers for not just his immediate precinct, but all around the city of New Plymouth. And we didn't have time to go and do it all, but you can see if you were there with 2 or 3 days with kids, you'd be able to take advantage of that stuff. And that really makes a difference. That is about the experience, not just the bed for the night.
Yeah, definitely. That's good. Looking into the future, what is the biggest issue, sort of on a broader scheme, that COVID raises for SkyCity as a hotel and then as a group, I suppose?
Well, the biggest challenge for us is the volumes of people that we have. And so we're limited to 50 packs in an indoor venue. So you think about things like gaming floors, Sky Tower main observation decks, those types of things are going to be a real challenge for us. And it is a challenge for us today, and we're spending hours of the week at the moment figuring out how we're going to try and maximize the opportunity when we reopen, but of course sticking to the rules of 50 packs per venue. So there is a significant health and safety challenge for us, but again, it's different this time, but we've been here before and proved that we can do it. And then, of course, the Sky Tower is one that really needs the borders open in order for it to be successful or get anywhere close to where it used to perform. So that's an international-led product. So that's like everybody, is the biggest thing. We're just we're treading water a little bit there. We're investing in smaller ways for that in that area to try and enhance the experience for Kiwis and do what we can. But ultimately, that relies on cruise ship customers and international. So keeping the engines on and enhancing it and getting ready for when that does happen is also really important.
Yeah, sure. So how have you changed? Have you changed your sort of, I suppose, 3-year plan to try and accommodate for that, or?
Well, we're starting from scratch essentially again. So we're just realistic, making sure that I'm transparent with those messages upwards about the reality of the tourism and accommodation sector for the next couple of years. Obviously really frugal with cost and any sort of capital investment. If something can wait, it doesn't have to be done today, then we will wait. but also looking harder for technology solutions. If those things can drive efficiencies, or again, a greater customer experience, or give us another story to tell customers, then we're pushing on with that stuff. So yeah, no question, we do 5-year plans. It has changed, but it's just a slightly different road to where we thought we were going. But it doesn't mean it's still exciting, and it's really challenging. But as a colleague of mine says to me all the time, we've got to walk towards that challenge and embrace it, and that's what we try and do.
If it's one thing these challenges do is force you to think outside the box, look for different solutions. I mean, it's probably brought the biggest global change in the last, well, I don't know how many years, but it's forced massive change globally.
Absolutely.
Which can only be for the better in a funny kind of way.
We can't go back to what we were. We weren't sustainable, particularly in New Zealand. We're quite a disparate sector for broader tourism space, and I'm seeing some really good work done in terms of alignment across different associations to get better wins and kick some goals through this period, whether it's lobbying government for various initiatives or various funding solutions, or visa and immigration work, or better conditions in that regard. So there is some good things happening. We cannot go back to how we used to operate in this country. It's not sustainable.
Yeah, it's good to hear, because I spoke with Les 2 weeks ago on this VTV about how we can be quite a dysfunctional industry in a lot of ways compared to some others. So bringing that together is, so many times at the hotel conference and that we've had those conversations about how do we bring this all together. Maybe this is part of the answer. Got a question here from an anonymous attendee. SkyCity looking to bring in mandatory vaccination for staff.
I can tell you we've put on 2 vaccination events yesterday and today, and it was an idea that sprung up in week 2 that should we put one on for our staff, and we partnered up with a local pharmaceutical chain. They came to precincts. We put petrol vouchers on for our staff to come in and get vaccinated, and we sold out yesterday and today within half a day, and we've put another day on Saturday. So that's not the answer you're looking for. Mandatory? We wouldn't. I think we'd probably be fast followers there. I don't think we'd go out with that first, but I believe, personally believe that's probably a space that we're all heading into. And the reality is that if you're vaccinated, you'll probably have more freedoms and be able to do more things, whether it's travel or whether it's go to restaurants, bars, or whatever, than if you're not. And so that may come to your own workplace as well. So, it has been talked about internally, but we're not there from a decision perspective yet. I think we're just seeing how everybody else plays it. It's
a good point you raised there about the vaccination events too, because I talked to our local pharmacy here. We've only got a team of 20 here, but they said, come level 2, we're happy to come in and do all your stuff at once. So if you're not out there, make the most of that. Saves a lot of work time, saves a lot of downtime.
We were surprised at the uptake, Luke. So we put it out there, sort of dangled the opportunity, and got huge response from our team. And they just felt more comfort in coming into their place of work to get vaccinated. They could make an appointment. It was easy, no queuing. And again, obviously we, incentivized in terms of covering petrol costs and things like that to get them in there. And so it proved really popular for us. So it's a good thing.
And there's probably that small part of seeing other staff members again too, which is,
in person.
Coming to a question that I touched on at the start, what have you learned in the past 18 months? What's some learns that you're going to take away with you into the future?
The biggest one would be just that you can't take anything for granted. And I touched on it too at the start, saying that I've seen the best of times here, 2015 to 2018, record numbers in terms of our industry overall. And, I certainly didn't. I don't think I became complacent at that time. You're always trying to drive harder, but you thought those good times were going to roll on, and so that's the biggest thing, that within an instant our industry just got cut down, and it's overwhelming, to be honest, and can be. That's one side, or you choose to fight back. So. We've talked a little bit about family, of course, and I think the recalibration that takes place when you're at home in lockdown and you don't have to go anywhere and you're surrounded by loved ones is an important reminder of what is important, the little things. That reset and recalibration I've used a few times has been really important for me as well personally. And I also touched on just trying not to get caught up in the negativity that this whole thing brings. We will get through this. There are good times ahead. It doesn't feel like it today, maybe, but I know that in 2, 3, 4 years' time, we'll be absolutely surging again. And I probably said it last year, New Zealand is a bucket list destination. It will continue to be a bucket list destination. People will come back to our country and spend, and I've got absolutely no doubt about that. So we've just got to, batten down the hatches, do our best to get through this, and there is sunshine at the other end. I genuinely believe that.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. It's brilliant. I wrote an article myself going back for the start of this lockdown, which I just had to put pen on paper, I suppose, around this sort of this type of event brings out two types of people: one that sees the problems, and then one that the type of person that sees what the possibilities are. And of course, it's always the people that see the possibilities that end up winning. As you say, that ability to not get swamped in the cloud, look for that silver lining, because it's always there.
Totally. Yeah.
Sometimes it's buried a bit. Needs a bit of dusting off. And
no, absolutely. And it's easier to take the pessimistic view because you're surrounded by it. So you've got to make a conscious decision to bring that energy and that optimism each day to everyone that you're dealing with, the interactions you have, whether it's your team or whether it's upwards or personally with your own family. You've got to make that choice, and you'll probably find that you actually have a better day yourselves. You can just build on that. And if you're having to rebuild your business, that type of mindset, growth mindset, will absolutely help get those foundations in place and rebuild more successfully than taking the other road.
That's it. Yeah. Beauty. Hey, well, Brad, we're coming up 28 minutes. I don't know if you have any closing comments.
Luke, all I want to say is I just want to quickly call out International Housekeepers Week because those housekeeping teams across NZ are the backbone of our industry, and some amazing people that I've had the pleasure of working with over the years, and just want to acknowledge and massive shout out to all the housekeepers out there, and the work that they do is often unheralded. And but thank you so much for everything you do, housekeepers. And also, Luke, I just want to call out yourself, Alberta, Marty, and the team, just for your doing what you're doing here. I think it's great that you are putting in the hard yards to connect us and get the conversations going. And again, you're focused on the future, which I think is fantastic. So big ups to you and the team there for putting this together. I think it's great. Well done.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I'll skip over our part, but going back to the housekeepers, they are the unsung heroes. Obviously, personally, we and yourself, we deal with a lot of housekeepers right across the country, and they're often just squirreling away in the background, doing the long hours. So yeah, I hardly agree with what you say. And yeah, really appreciate your time. Juggling
no worries at all.
Back to sorting out the fights, eh?
Probably. Yeah, no, they're actually, to be honest, they've been really good. They've been really good through this. So
nice. Yeah. Glad to have Dad around.
I think so. Yeah.
No, good.
Thanks, Luke.
Brad. Really appreciate your time.
No worries. Have a good day. Yep.
And thanks everybody. Cheers.